Welcome to Arequipa, considered by many to be Peru's most beautiful city and a favorite among expats to South America, where the air is dry and cool and where the sun shines at least 300 days a year. A proud city with a grand central square that's seen its share of Inca warriors, Spanish conquistadors, and these days, foreign visitors, a few thousand of whom have made their homes here. Arequipa is really two cities separated by the Chile River. On one side is modern Arequipa, a leading banking and industrial center. On the other, where tourists come and most expats choose to live, is Spanish Colonial Arequipa, much of it a World Heritage Site. At an average elevation of 7,700 feet, Arequipa is eternally spring-like, with daily highs that hover in the 70s Fahrenheit much of the year, and with nature all around. That includes Colca Canyon, among the deepest canyons on Earth, and in the nearby Andes, 4 snow-covered volcanoes as high as 20,000 feet.
Arequipa is often called the White City because most all of the colonial buildings here are constructed from volcanic ashlar stone taken from nearby quarries. That same stone nearer to the surface is naturally pinkish because of increased oxidation. So whenever you see a building or a portion of a building with pink stone, you know that the stone has come from layers nearer the surface. There are two competing interesting legends about how Arequipa got its name. One school of thought is that it comes from the Aymara language, meaning sound trumpet. I prefer the Inca/Quechua story. Inca warriors coming home from the southern front asked their leader if they could remain here. The official response was given, "Yes, stay," which in Quechua means Arequipa. You could be forgiven if you thought you were in the Andalusia region of Spain, because that's exactly how this street appears, and for a good reason. Because the climate is so similar, the Spaniards who came here early on tried to replicate Andalusia, and they did a very good job of it. The main plaza here, as in all Peruvian towns and cities, is referred to as the Plaza de Armas. It's like all great plazas in beautiful Latin American cities. It's filled with people and a considerable amount of entrepreneurship. Just a great place to hang out and to stroll.
Arequipa's historic quarter is delightfully walkable, and no more so than after dark, when a light sweater is in order. Evenings here come alive with people gathering at restaurants and strolling the streets. Beneath its colonial arches, the Plaza de Armas is magical, as laughter and conversation echo against a backdrop of serenading troubadours.
Buenas noches, cubre el día. abre tu cuerpo resplandeciente. Y cuando al fin llega la noche, porque está oscureciendo, tu cara tímida se esconde, como estelas que pasarán. Mi boca menciona tu nombre.
From its founding in the 1500s by Spaniards, this part of the viceroyalty of Peru was its own sort of unique place.
The Basques and Catalonians who settled here left an enduring legacy, making Arequipa the most Spanish city in Peru. That legacy lives on, not only in the people, but the architecture, from the city's imposing 17th century cathedral to its countless other colonial buildings, each of them with a story.
I'm in the covered patio of an old colonial building here that's now a beautiful handicrafts market. It's a great place to find arts and crafts, or just to grab a bite to eat. This building, before the great earthquake of 1868, was a girls' orphanage. After the earthquake, it became a men's prison, which I think explains why the stores along the edges of this patio, which are all identical with arched entryways, are rather on the small side, because those stores were at one time prison cells.
Outside one of those former cells, I stumbled across some of the best artisanal ice cream I've ever tasted.
There's a hint of cheese flavor in there, cinnamon sprinkled on top, but it's not overly sweet. It's just the way ice cream should be. I wish I could show you me eating it, but only got two hands here. Arequipa is one of the best places in the world to climb volcanoes, being surrounded by 4 of them. The 2 most prominent that you see from the city are Chanchani at just under 20,000 feet and El Misti at just over 19,000 feet. Chanchani, which is dormant, is really a volcano group with several craters. El Misti, however, is active. In fact, there's an expression here that when you get up in the morning and see the fumes, it's just misty having a morning smoke.
Arequipa's lively arts and culture scene goes back to colonial times. The city has been home to a long list of writers and poets, including Nobel laureate Mario Vargas Llosa, for whom one of its libraries is endowed.
Vargas Llosa has been gradually emptying the vast collection of his books into this library from his personal collections in Lima, Paris, and Madrid, the latter being his primary home these days.
Perhaps the city's most famous person is a mummified teenage girl who died 5.5 centuries ago. I'm talking about the ice maiden Juanita, also known as the Lady of Ampato for the snowy peak where she was discovered in 1995, almost perfectly preserved in a glacier, the apparent victim of Inca child sacrifice. She and 3 other Inca mummies are kept in glass-enclosed freezers at the city's Catholic University of Santa Maria. No one can accuse Arequipa of not being in touch with its past. That's one of the charming things about it, besides the weather, the food, the great outdoors, and a relaxed pace that belies a city that delightfully only seems much smaller than it is. The kind of place that, as you meander toward its majestic plaza at nightfall, you think, yeah, I could maybe live here.